Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Agile Assets Product Showcase webinar. We host these webinars monthly covering different products and services offered by Agile Assets. My name is Barry Raskin, and I'm the Marketing Director here at Agile Assets. A few housekeeping items before we begin. This webinar is being recorded, and we will send a link to the recording out next week. The presentation slides will also be provided with the webinar recording link. The presentation today will last about 45 minutes, leaving time at the end for questions. If you have questions, you can enter them anytime into the Q&A tab, the window of WebEx, and we will address them at the end of the presentation as time permits. At the end of the webinar, you will be offered a very short survey. Please take a moment to fill it in so that we can continue to improve these webinars going forward. Okay, so let's get started. Today, transportation agencies work with billions of infrastructure asset data points, and the volume and complexity of this data makes it difficult to get a comprehensive overview. We are excited today to debut a new product from Agile Assets called AgileAssets Summit. AgileAssets Summit enables asset managers, agency leaders, and non-technical stakeholders to visually explore, analyze, and extract actionable information from large infrastructure asset data sets. This webinar will demonstrate how AgileAssets Summit enables a global view on large data sets with advanced interactive visualization, ad hoc analysis to identify hidden trends and patterns, and stakeholder access without the complexities of an asset management system. Our presenter today is Kingsley Nwosu. Mr. Nwosu is a product manager here at Agile Assets, and he's responsible for the analyst series of products that we offer. His background is in location-based service applications. This expertise is being leveraged with our increased focus on map-driven interactions and visualization of geospatial data. Wasting no more time, I'll turn this meeting over to Kingsley.
Thank you, Barry. Hello, everyone. So before we dive into the subject of this talk, I want to briefly go over Agile Assets product portfolio and then give you a high-level overview of their purpose. Starting at the bottom, we have the foundation of the system. This encompasses functions that critical to the functioning of the system and includes functions such as the linear referencing system definition, GIS, user and system administration, reporting, and APIs that allow the systems to interface with third-party systems, among other functions. Moving up above the system foundation, we have the manager series. These products are primarily focused on maintenance activities. They support the creation, management, and execution of maintenance projects. And above the manager series, we have the analyst series. These products are primarily focused on optimization analysis, so asset engineers can make decisions on optimum strategies and work programs for individual assets. And at the top of the list, we have the executive series. These are decision support products that are primarily focused on allowing agency executives and other managers to make confident decisions regarding the assets that they manage, whether it's for a specific asset class, maintenance operation, or cross-asset trade-off decisions. This is showing an expansion of the previous slide with a breakout by product of the different series. I do want to highlight at the executive series there the new product that we're launching, which is called AgileAssets Summit. More on that in a bit. So transportation infrastructure agencies invest in asset management systems to help them maximize the ROI, the return on investment on the assets managed by an agency. And these systems collect, store, analyze, and manipulate millions of data points using complex algorithms that determine the best strategies to both preserve and rehabilitate assets under their management. Getting a summary of these actions from the asset management system for an agency executive or their stakeholders is often difficult and requires access to these systems, which are more targeted to engineers and other technical staff and managers. So what's an agency executive to do? This is where Summit comes in. Summit removes the barrier for agency executives and their stakeholders to get access to data summaries of the agency's asset management practice without having to understand the complexities and the analytical details and operating procedures of the asset management system. Summit presents this information using advanced and interactive data visualizations that make having conversations with the data or getting further answers from the information easy, which ultimately enables these executives and stakeholders to confidently make data-driven decisions. Summit also enables the democratization of this information outside the agency where possible, without the worry of opening up your systems, thus allowing the agency to maintain governance of their data or information. This is a sampling of who Summit is targeted for. Essentially for executives and managers within an agency at all levels, as well as the external stakeholders to an agency, such as legislative reps or city and county managers. This graphic is showing some of the key functions of Summit. At the bottom there, you can see the transportation asset management system. Summit essentially ingests this information directly from the database of the asset management system. This can be for any of the AgileAssets products, such as a pavement management system, a maintenance management system, a fleet management system, any AgileAssets product. And then Summit creates, we create views with interactive visualizations that are then created off of this information. The views include multiple charts and graphs, depending on the context of the information being presented, that allow it to stand out. It also includes a map view that allows for the representation of geospatial information, as well as the good old-fashioned tabular view of the information, for those of us that will want to see that information represented in that format. All of this can be stood up and running in as little as 3 weeks. So Summit makes it very easy to come up to board with these visualizations that make it easy for executives to translate information from an asset management system without having to logging into those applications and the complexities around it. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you a brief demo of the product. So here I've got a few Summit views that we've built for a maintenance management system. In this view, I'm showing the activity comparison for activities that are performed in the maintenance management system by all departments in that agency. So one of the questions that a manager at this agency might want to know is, what are the activities and the departments that are way out of line with the state average? So in the first visualization, I'm seeing the average unit cost by all the departments in the agency, and there is a red line indicating what the state average is. So the departments that are above that or that are way under, I want to know why those departments are above that state average. So already you can identify a couple of departments that are way above the state average, and a couple of departments that are way under it. So I can simply select one of these departments and see, and the information gets filtered so that I can further discriminate what activities or what information is contributing to this anomaly. And right away, the information has been filtered all around the view. You can see the district that that department belongs to, and the activities that that department was performing that contributed to that high average unit cost. So now I can go to this view and select to sort the unit cost by descending order and see what values contributed to that. At first, I probably want to select a specific activity to see how that compares across the state. So now I'm going to deselect the department and select an activity. Say I'm going to pick sign installation, for example, and as soon as I start typing, the data filters automatically to tell me the parameters that match whatever I've typed. It's using a natural language, so you don't even have to know the specific information that you're looking for. As soon as you start typing, the data starts filtering, matching what's in the data, what's underlying. So I'm going to select sign installation, which is the one at the bottom there. And now for this specific activity, I can see how all the departments in that agency are performing for that unit cost. And one of the departments stand out above the others, the 3410 department. And here I can see, again, because I've filtered the view, this view to sorted to show me the work orders or the actions that have the highest unit costs, essentially the ones that are contributing to this anomaly. I can see the work order ID and scroll down. I can look at the date that this work was performed and the amount. So in this case, the amount is 0, probably indicating that this department is not properly recording the actual work that was done, which is why the average unit cost is way above the normalized state, what I'm expecting or what the state average is. I can also deselect these guys and perform for a different activity, say plowing, for example. And as soon as I start typing, the data filters and I can select plowing. And then for this specific activity, I can see how the departments in the agency are performing against the red line that I've drawn, which is the state average. Again, there are a few that are under and there are a couple that are way over. So I can select, again, this department. It looks to be the same culprit, the 3210 department. I can select that, and once I select that, the data is automatically filtered again, and I can see here that, you know, it looks like a reporting issue. So that's something that I can take to the head of that department to see why they're not correctly reporting the work that they're performing. Another view that I wanted to show is the planned versus actual. So this view is indicating the planned unit cost for all the activities in my agency versus the actuals, and as well as the planned hours versus the actuals. And this is represented in a graphical format and makes it easy to see where there are anomalies. So I'm going to highlight, for example, the dates that are closest to the current time. So I can simply select the time frame by highlighting on the map, on the graph, and then the data gets filtered. And as you can see, the bar chart below that also gets filtered. And here I can see some disparities between the data. Here in the planned hours, I've got 40, but the actual is only 2. And on the other side, I've got planned hours 1 and 90 hours executed. So these are two sides of the coin that I probably need to investigate to see what's going on here. So I can select one of these guys. I can type in the work order associated with one of these guys to get further information on it. So for this work order, 670047, I can simply start to type that number in the search bar. And again, the data starts filtering for all the numbers or all the activities or work orders that match what I'm typing. And once I get to the one that I'm looking for, I can simply select it. So that's the work order ID that I'm interested in. And again, the data gets filtered to that specific work order, and then I can see the activity that was contributing to that. And in this case, it was a chip sale for asphalt. So we planned 40 hours for it, but only executed 2 hours. So knowing this information, I can send a note to that to the manager in charge of that activity or department to find out why there is a huge disparity between the plan and the actual. So I'm going to remove this filter, get back to my original visualization, and investigate this other work order, 670066, where it's kind of the reverse situation where I've got only 1 hour plan, but they executed 90 hours for that work order. So again, I'm going to type in the work order number, 670066, and the data gets filtered to that specific work order, and I can see what activity counted towards that figure. So in this case, it was an equipment preventative maintenance count. So it could be that the department did a bad job of forecasting how many hours would actually needed for preventive maintenance, and they can look at further details to figure out how they can better forecast hours for future work orders that are related to this activity. Okay, I'm going to switch gears for a minute and go to a pavement management system to show you a different visual that we've created. So this is a view for a pavement management system that is showing the conditions and the different types of conditions that are being managed by this agency for the lane miles in that agency. And here in the first visualization is showing the lane miles by conditions category. So for the 5 different categories that are defined by that agency, for each of the 4 years that's part of this scenario that has been executed, how are the lane miles under management performing? So looking at this information, it's quite clear that in 2018, the coverage, lane miles coverage is getting poorer compared to the previous year in 2017 compared to the current year in 2016. So this can tell the executive to either contact with the pavement management engineer to run a different scenario so that they can increase coverage for 2018 to improve the lane miles from this orange category to either a yellow category or a green category. Another scenario that I can query is by looking at how this information can be compared to the National Highway System, part of the lane miles in that agency, which is what the agency ultimately reports to the feds. So I can simply start typing NHS, and all the data that matches that, what I've just entered, will start filtering in the response. And I can select non-interstate, for example. And now I'm seeing only the lane miles by category, by condition category for non-interstate National Highway System roadways. Again, you can look at the data points and figure out if you need to do some more manipulations on how the system is being managed, the pavement is being managed, and then determine how to change strategies to either increase coverage from orange to yellow, or more yellow to more yellow conditions into green territory. I can perform another filter to look at just interstates, and as soon as I start typing that, I can select that filter. So this is how the lane miles for interstates are being represented based on this specific scenario that I've executed. And this is shown across all the different districts. And as I'm doing this, all these filters, you can see that District 7, both for the interstate and for the non-interstate, have a disproportionately higher number of lane miles under their management. So this can tell me that I need to give them more funding because their roadways, their distressed lane miles, they have more distressed lane miles than the older districts in the state. So that indicates to me that they need more funding to better manage and get their distressed lane miles into the green category. So this is just an example view that we've created to highlight the functionality and the powerful visualizations that you can do in Summit and queries and information that you can get out of the system without needing to know how the underlying asset management system works and all the technical information that you need to know to either query information in the asset management system and then getting results or information that you need to make decisions about the asset management practice. And that's all I've got to show today. We're going to go into a Q&A and then entertain your questions.
Yes, please. If you guys have questions, anybody on the webinar, type them into the Q&A tab of WebEx. Kingsley, I have a question for you to clarify. If I wanted to acquire AgileAssets Summit, is that something that that's going to be installed in my premise, or is it, tell me how it's delivered again.
So Summit is hosted by AgileAssets. There is no installation required. The application is web-based. We will connect to the underlying asset management database and get all the information that's required for the products that need to be connected to Summit. And that information gets ingested into Summit, and then the data visualizations are created for the agency based on the views that they want to see and the actions that they want to get out of it.
Okay.
But the information for Summit is hosted by AgileAssets.
Okay, and if I were a new client, how long does it take to set this up for me? I mean, what's involved, in a summary fashion?
It's quite easy. So from when, say, we get a contract signed, it can be anywhere from a couple of days to max of 3 weeks. Essentially setting up, we have standard views that we are going to define for the key products. So for pavement management system, for a bridge management system, and for a maintenance management system, we're going to have out of the box views that are going to come with Summit. But we could also create views that are custom to what an agency wants to do in Summit based on the practices and information that they want to get out of it. Creating a view, it's quite easy, and we will have training videos and documentation on how to either create views or modify existing views that come out of the box.
Okay. Corey asks, I was wondering who sets up the queries, the users or AgileAssets staff?
The queries for, we ingest the summaries of the data for a particular product. So for a pavement management system, for example, on the view that I'm looking at, we will create a query to get all that data from the asset management system into Summit, and then create a view that shows kind of what I'm looking at, for example, the lane miles by condition category, but creating a different view, say, to show a different visualization to show, I don't know, how specific activities on the pavement is contributing to either the longevity of that pavement. That can also be created, but doing that is not, that's something that can be done by an end user based on the videos that we will post, but it's quite easy to do that.
Okay. Another question, what versions of AgileAssets will work with AgileAssets Summit?
So Summit works on all the maintenance supported versions of AgileAssets, so all the way from 6.9 to 7.1, so 6.9, 7.0, and 7.1.
Okay. Are there any more questions? If you do have them, please type them into the Q&A tab for us. The question here from Corey is Summit available for fleet?
Correct. So Summit will work with all the standard Agile Assets products, so fleet management, pavement management, essentially all the manager and analyst series that I talked about at the beginning of the talk. Any of those products can work with Summit.
Very good. Are there any more questions that the audience would like to ask Kingsley? Type them into the Q&A panel if you can. We'll just give it a couple more minutes. Would Summit be able to link to non-Agile Assets software?
When you mean non-Agile Assets software, are you talking about SAP or some other PeopleSoft or some other third-party system?
You'll have to assume that.
If that's the case, that it won't work out of the box, but that's a conversation that we can have with the provider of Summit, with the platform of Summit to implement those third-party systems into Summit.
Okay. I don't see any more questions. Last chance to ask Kingsley some questions. Okay, well, I think since we're out of questions, it looks like we're going to finish this webinar a little bit early. Thank you all from Agile Assets for attending. Please take a moment to fill out the webinar survey as you exit the webinar. We really do appreciate your feedback, and we look forward to having you participate in one of our upcoming Agile Assets Product Showcase webinars being scheduled. The next one, which will be in December, will be about Bridge Analyst. And so with that, we thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.